actually as well. I'm here in Beckenham with my partner in crime, Louis Chalk, and I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you, mate.
For purchasing your first property, and what a way to purchase it at an auction.
Yeah, absolute nightmare.
How did you find that experience?
It was a nightmare, I'm not going to lie. Luckily I had oMZ here to help me out, but it was stressful.
So you weren't given the standard 3 to 4 months to check everything out and go through the legal process?
3 weeks it was.
From start to finish. Okay, cool. So tell us, how did you finance the property? And,
so originally tried to get a traditional mortgage, but because of the time constraints, just wasn't possible whatsoever. So we've had to go down the bridging route, which was stressful to say the least, but we got there in the end. Currently just trying to refinance that onto a normal residential, as you know, which has all been approved, so that's all good. We'll be off the bridging loan shortly. Pulling out some money so that we can do the work.
Yeah, sure. So this was purchased as a joint venture between myself and Louis. I'll be mentoring him through the process, but this is his first project that he'll be doing himself. The property does require refurbishment. We'll take you inside and we'll talk a little bit about the plans of what we want to do here. In terms of the purchase price, could you go through purchase price, what it's cost us to get it, and then a little bit about the bridging, sort of interest rate and stuff like that as well for our viewers?
Yeah, so the purchase price was 244,500. It's a 1-bed flat at the moment, but a pretty big 1-bedroom flat, we think.
60 square metres, something like that.
60 square metres. Bridging loan, we've had to put down 40% to purchase the property, purely because the surveyor deemed it as uninhabitable. Question marks over that, to be honest. Feel a little bit hard done by, but it is what it is, and we were able to refinance it afterwards, which, as I say, has all been approved. We're just waiting for that to all go through. That'll allow us to pull some money back out and then get off the bridging loan, which is it's not the cheapest. It's 0.78% on a monthly basis.
Yeah. We had a few complications with that, didn't we? Because it was regulated bridging rather than unregulated bridging, and this is a long leasehold flat, but it's being sold with share of freehold and auction and the speed and everything. So sometimes things aren't as straightforward as just going to your normal bridging provider. So we had to use a bit of an obscure one. Cool. Okay, so bridging, then refinance onto a traditional mortgage, pay the bridging loan off, and then you've not incurred that interest. But so from the outside, we've purchased the upper floor. And the beauty of this property was that it was sold with planning permission.
It was.
Actually, that's a lie. We purchased it with a planning application that had been submitted, not granted. And then we'd exchanged contracts at auction, and then it was about a week before Christmas. We then logged onto the Bromley Council planning application site, and we saw that the planning had been approved. And we were jumping up and down with that because that allows us to then crack on with works and not have to keep going through a drawn-out planning process. But the planning is effectively to turn it into a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
2-bedroom, 2-bath,
And that's going into the loft effectively, isn't it? So. Let's get on inside, shall we, and then show you how things are getting on, and then you can do a little bit of a walk around of some of the things that we've discussed and some of your plans for the property, and you can have a look in more detail. Right, so we're upstairs in the kitchen. And as you can see, it's in quite bad order at the moment. So give us a bit of a down low on what you think is going to be happening to this room here.
Yeah, sure. So we'll show you the plans, but the plan is to make this into a lovely double bedroom. A couple of things, obviously it's going to be ripped out firstly, but there's a couple of things I wanted to show you. So this wall down here is a lot of damp. It's all coming off here. That's due to the guttering being broken at the top. So there's a load of water that's been dripping down, causing that damp. We've also got quite a large crack up the top there. We've had a structural engineer that's looked at that. It's historic apparently, so not too much to worry about there at all. So again, that's quite minor. But yeah, once it's done, be a lovely double bedroom. All good, looking forward to that. If we just come through the hallway. Okay, so this is what is being used as a bedroom, we believe, at the moment. We've got a chimney stack in this room and also in the other. We have toyed with the idea of getting rid of this to create a little bit more space, but to be honest, it's not a lot.
It's not very deep, is it?
It's not at all, no. And for the work that needs doing, probably not going to worry about that.
Yeah, it's probably at least a couple of days' work, and then it's a steel cross, and just to gain sort of that much room. So decided probably not to do that.
Yeah, but we are going to do that in the other room.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The flooring is in tatters and rotten, so all of that is obviously going to be relaid. Not decided on the type of flooring yet, but we're going to plan that over the next few weeks.
The chances are we're going to go a little bit more high spec on this property. Yeah. So either a really decent laminate or potentially even some kind of oak floor or so we'll decide that a little bit further down the line, but it'll need to look high spec. Spotlights throughout with dimmers so people can change the mood. What did you? I mean, I looked at that window and it doesn't seem to be in great condition. What did you think of that window?
Yeah, the window is it is in an absolute state. It's a sash window at the moment, single glazed, so we're going to be changing that. It's also very low, I thought. Yeah. So we're again kind of looking at the idea of bricking a little bit higher up, making that a smaller window.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all rotten. It's open. Sash windows are lovely, but they're just not great for energy efficiency. And nowadays it's all about the EPC, isn't it? And trying to keep your property nice and warm. So that's not helping out at all. No, but at the same time, replacing it for a like sash window and putting double glazed glass in there is going to potentially be costly. It might be worth doing because of the property. So we'll have a little think about that. You can actually see from here through the window. I don't know if you want to have a look at that. See this way. Oh, look, straight over. You can actually see how the guttering is bowed, which is where the water's been running all down that wall. And Louis mentioned the damp that's on that wall there. So effectively scaffolding to the building. We're doing a loft conversion anyway, as we said, so scaffolding's needed to create a dormer, but the guttering will all need addressing.
Yep.
What else to discuss in this room? That wall,
So this wall, we've just had a meeting with a structural engineer, which, Omar, you can explain that, because I went a bit over my head, to be honest.
Yeah, so structural engineer I've used for a number of years now, and you do need a structural engineer when you're doing major works to the property. So there's a difference in taking some walls down that are not load bearing. This is a load bearing wall, and effectively the structural engineer, we've been up in the loft, the joists in this property run effectively this way, and they sit on this wall. So you can't just knock this wall down because the joists are leaning on it, which would mean if you took the wall down, that the joists that are leaning on that wall would effectively come down. So obviously you don't want to do that. So the plan with this wall is that we will use acros, or they're also known as props, that will sit on this side of the wall and on the other side of the wall, normally on a scaffolding board at the top, to take the weight of the joists so that they don't come down. That wall will then be taken down slowly and carefully, not causing any damage. And then we'll then insert a steel beam which will go in this wall, and it will also sit all the way across the hallway onto our wall, but effectively onto the party wall. So we'll maybe do another video discussing how we're getting around the kind of party wall surveyor and that side of things, which is equally as important. But load bearing wall, just be careful. If anyone is watching this video that wants to take one down, definitely get a structural engineer so they can give you kind of calculations on what steel beams you need and how to do it safely.
Okay, go through to the next room.
Who's taller, me or you? Whoever's taller. What do you reckon?
Mate, you're on the slope.
Oh, I'll go switch round then. Still think I'm winning though. What do you think?
Okay, so this room is currently being used as a living room. This is the load bearing wall that Omar was just talking about. This is going to be moved 1.1 metres back to make a little bit more room in here. Still, this is going to be where the open plan kitchen living room is going to be. This chimney breast, as I mentioned, we're going to take this out. We're still toying with that idea. So we may keep it and open up the fireplace. We may get rid of it to open up a bit more space. Again, undecided on that at the moment. We've got the nice bay window there-ish. Single glazed sash window, in a much better condition to the last one, but again needs work doing and improving on that.
Yeah, we're toying with what to do with the space here a little bit, aren't we? Because that wall could come down and this could be one big open plan kitchen dining area, but then effectively we're losing that bedroom.
Yeah.
And then we've only got the other bedroom over there. And I know we're going into the loft, but it's trying to maximise the space. So potentially that going back a metre makes this a bit of a nicer space. And if we can get a good kitchen with floor to ceiling units to maximise everything on that wall, get the ovens kind of at eye level, this may still work, but we're going to have to kind of just double check that and make sure it does work. The bathroom's on the other side, which is a little bit smaller, and it's a fair amount of work to do it, but bedrooms are what add value, you see. So you want a bedroom over a big living room or dining room, because the more bedrooms you've got, the more your property's worth, and a 3-bedroom share a freehold flat is worth more than a 2-bedroom share a freehold flat. So we'll perhaps have another chat with our architects and see how the configuration works best. Bearing in mind, we bought this property with planning permission, so we didn't put the planning permission in ourselves, and if we did, we would have had a long conversation with the architect to maximise the space. So it comes with its advantage that we can get on with the work straight away, but the disadvantage is that we didn't design it like this, and so it isn't exactly to our taste, and some people just kind of put plans in as quickly as possible to get the application in so they can start the works. So as you can see, a lot of work's to be done. Are you up for the?
I'm up for it. Yeah.
The task.
It's gonna be interesting for the next few months. But
so I shall let you take the lead on this one then.
No, that's down to Ed the builder.
Yeah.
Ooh. So yeah, the bathroom at the moment, we're again toying with the idea of what we're going to do. So potentially looking at changing it to just having a massive walk-in shower, big mirror, radio fittings in the shower. Marble floor to ceiling, which we think will look great, or keeping it and having a traditional bath. Again, not too sure what we're going to do with that as of yet. Just coming out into the hallway, just finally, as we've already mentioned, we're going to be obviously going into the loft, getting a massive double bedroom with ensuite up there.
It's quite difficult to visualise that at the moment, but if you look at the loft, it's quite big. And this bit here is just superficial, so this bit will move further back, and effectively you'll come up the stairs, and then when you come up to this side, there'll be another flight of stairs here going up, and I think that extra bedroom up there with an ensuite will make the flat really saleable. Potentially, you added a lot of space. It's just how you finish the property here is how I see it, because it's Beckenham, so I'm sure you agree.
High spec, yeah.
High spec, maybe some nice built-in wardrobes, as we said, spotlights throughout, chrome fittings. I've been sending you some stuff on Instagram to look at some
nice.
high spec kitchens and bathrooms and things like that they really sell a property. What do you think about that tiger rug in there? Should we keep that?
I personally think that's got to stay, to be honest. It's got to stay, surely.
The other issue that we've got here, and then we've just been having a discussion about this. If you have a look out this window, so we're on a roundabout. Well, we're the last property on a roundabout, and from our observations, everybody else on the roundabout doesn't have a dropped curb to allow for parking. So this flat, the advantage of this flat over the downstairs flat, because we did view the downstairs flat, which was for sale at the same time, is that you have access to the front, although you don't have access to the garden. But there is no parking because there's no drop curb. So one of the things that we're going to try and do is put a drop curb in. And that's really 50-50 whether we'll get that or not, because it is so close to the roundabout. But we're going to speak with Bromley Council and health and environmental services and see if we can get that put in. But it would be nice to have some parking with the flat as well. We're also in conversation with the owner of the downstairs flat, because he will be renovating the property at the same time. So potentially we can show you some footage of what he's doing downstairs and this property as well. Cool, so do you want to take us outside so we can have a look at the outside of the property and potentially show you some drone footage from the roof as well. There's a bit of a leak on the roof at the moment, so you might be able to get to see that.
Just one other thing before we leave the flat. One thing that we thought was great was, firstly, it's got its own main entrance, which you don't really get with a traditional flat. It's more of a masonette, to be honest. And this is a massive space as you come in to the property. No letters about at the moment, ignore those. But we can put a nice coat rack up. shoe rack, potentially a little table. So again, just a nice feature, makes it a bit more homely. So again, we thought that would really help us when it comes to selling the property. Okay, so just outside the property now, as you can see, it's a large Victorian property. We've purchased the upstairs flat. We're going to be adding loft conversion, adding a dormer. If you just notice, as I was mentioning earlier, you can see the guttering that's broken, that's been causing the damp in the current kitchen. So that's obviously, we'll be fixing that.
So in terms of the dormer that's going to be built at the rear of the property, it will come out effectively from roof level. There'll be about 500 gap on either side. The planning permission actually has been done under permitted development, so you can kind of do some things under permitted development whereby you don't actually need planning permission, which is really handy. So if any of the viewers are looking to do extensions or loft conversions, go online and actually type in permitted development and check what you can do and what you can't do, because there are certain things where you, as I said, you don't actually need to go and ask your local council if you can do them. You can just get on with them by giving notice and getting on with your building regs. So that's really handy. You can see there that the dormer will be of a good size, and that's going to add another bedroom and an ensuite up in the loft. We'll also be adding some windows in the front of the property. If you look up here, there's a white house on the corner where they've added some skylights to let some light into the loft, which is really handy. So yeah, a lot of work to get on with. It's quite a big project really to do a loft conversion. The whole building will need scaffolding, and we're toying with the idea of either using a crane to lift the steels up into place, or potentially we may use a hoist on the scaffolding to lift them up, depending on how heavy they are and whether they're bolted together or not, which we're waiting to hear back from our structural engineer. But we'll show you some videos of that progress and how we're doing things. I'm really excited about this project.
I can't wait. Yeah, can't wait. Should be good.
So we're looking forward to sharing with you the next video. If you like today's video, hit the thumbs up button, comment below, subscribe to the channel. If you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified every time we upload. Louis is going to be involved more in the channel, so I can get him doing more of the filming and being behind the camera, so it's not just me.